Welcome to the Medium in the Middle podcast. I'm your host, Stephanie, the medium in the middle. This podcast is going to walk you through my journey into mediumship and how I came to realize that I could communicate with souls that have passed over. My adventure started just over a year ago when unusual situations started happening to me. It wasn't until I really started to pay attention to them that it all started to come together. I wrote down everything that I was experiencing this past year in a little black book, and this podcast is going to be a recap of all of those memories leading up to where I am today in my mediumship journey. I will be releasing new episodes every Tuesday, and I recommend listening to the podcast in order, starting with episode 1, as my story will unfold more week by week. If you would like to stay connected with me, follow me on Instagram at mediuminthemiddle. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to episode 43. My name is Stephanie, and I'm very happy that you're here. If you are new to the podcast and an iTunes user, I would love a rating and a review. It really helps other people find the podcast, which helps the podcast grow. So if you have a quick minute, if you can scroll down and just leave a quick review on iTunes, I would really appreciate it. In other exciting news, as you may or may not know, my website is live, themediuminthemiddle.com, themediuminthemiddle.com. So I'm very excited to be offering online distance Reiki and Akashic Record Readings on the website, which is incredible. As always, if you live in Banff, you can make an in-person appointment with me. That is also available on the website. And if you want more information about Akashic Records, I do have 2 podcast episodes about it, which I would highly recommend listening to, episode 34 and 36. But I've been getting some incredible feedback from both the Akashic Records and the Reiki sessions. I've had people book like 3 times already. I've only been open for 3 weeks. I've had people refer their moms and their husbands, and it's just been an overwhelming support. So I want to say thank you, and I appreciate all of you. And I love being able to connect with the listeners. It's so cool that I can connect with people from the States, from all over Canada, from the Netherlands, from Australia. Like, the reach is incredible, and I'm really blessed and grateful to be able to connect with you guys and see your faces, and sometimes see your faces more than once. So thank you if you already booked a session. Thank you for supporting me. Thank you for believing in me. And thank you also to everyone who has sent me feedback. Some of the feedback that I received has been incredible. Like, Steph, my back bacon is gone. Or, Steph, I had a great sleep last night. I haven't had a great sleep in weeks. I love it. I love hearing it. And thank you for telling me. Thank you for sharing. So if you want to book an appointment with me, www.themediuminthemiddle.com. I'll also leave the link below in the show notes. So before we jump into today's episode, which is going to be a little mediumship story that I'm excited to share with you, I'm going to pull a card. So again, I always pull from the Enchanted Map Oracle card deck. It's from Colette Baron Reed, and I just love this deck, and I've been getting used to it, so I pull from it. I've been pulling cards less and less for myself. I've actually been really interested in finding readings online. So a few people that I follow pull cards every day for people. And it's nice when someone else does it. Something that I randomly not found, but I got back to in-person Reiki about 2 weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago. Anyways, when I was in my room that I do Reiki and I was rummaging through all my things because I was going to clean everything and disinfect and sage, and I found my pendulum, and I was like, ooh, like I was wondering where my pendulum was because I was looking for it and I wanted to play with it. And I don't play with my pendulum often. I keep it in my Reiki room because sometimes I will use the pendulum. I use crystals in my Reiki session, so sometimes I'll put the pendulum over the crystals and just see what's going on. I'm pretty good now where I don't need it, but at the beginning I would always use it so that the pendulum could tell me what's going on with the chakra. But as you get used to different feelings, you do get used to not needing the pendulum. I might do an entire episode on pendulums just because I think they're so cool. But anyways, the point of my story was I picked up the pendulum and I was just playing with it, and my swing is massive now. So when you first start out working with a pendulum, it's very normal for your swing to be small because it's your energy and you need to get used to it. And then pre-COVID, like my swing was like average, I would say. Like it would swing for sure, but it wasn't massive. I still remember my master teacher Lois, like her pendulum swing is literally like 180 degrees swing. It's like from one side to the other. I was like, holy cow, Lois, like look at your pendulum move. She was like, yeah, like that's telling me something. So now mine's at about like half of what hers is, but it's still really big. And I was like, ooh, like why is my pendulum? So every time I pick it up, it's giving me this massive swing, and I just feel like I need to be using it again. I also really want to teach a crystal course with using pendulum and learning how to know what it means and all that fun stuff. So I think that might be a reason of why it's calling my name. But speaking about courses, I have heard you. I have read your DMs. Reiki Level 1 online is coming. It's coming. Okay? I'm going to host one. I get asked so many times about this that it's actually insane. And then it literally took me until about like 4 days ago where I was thinking to myself, is the universe trying to tell me something? And I've just been ignoring it. Like it always takes people asking me. And then finally I'm like, wait, is this a sign? Like, am I supposed to be listening and I'm not listening? So I have a feeling that this is definitely it. And I'm listening now that I know what it is. The universe is talking to me. You guys are asking for something. I do Reiki Level 1 in person. I can move it online. And after doing a lot of research on it, because I know, you guys all know, I was hesitant about Reiki online. I had to do the research. I had to figure out for myself. I had to know that this was going to work. And it works. Like, it's insane. And then now that I do Reiki online as pretty much my full-time job, like you guys are keeping me busy. Love you. It works every single day, and I get amazing feedback every single day. So I'm just like, okay, this is it. I'm going to do it. I know there's people who want to learn from me, and some people have said they will only learn from me. Thank you, but that doesn't have to be the case. So I'm going to offer Reiki Level 1. I'm going to run it twice because it's only me. I'm going to keep it to a small group. So with Reiki Level 1, you get 4 attunements, and those attunements are like what you're doing Level 1 for. Like that is the thing. So I want to keep the group small so that I can keep those attunements really special and still be able to spend time with everyone for those attunements. But I'm going to run it twice. So I'll keep you all posted when that's going to be live, but just so you know it's coming, if you're interested in Level 1, to be honest, I don't know if the spots are all spoken for already. I had a lot of people send me messages, but we're going to start with 2 and then we'll go from there. But thank you, universe, and thank you, everyone, for giving me a little smack on the face, being like, Steph, we've been asking for this. Like when people ask for something, create it for them, offer it for them. So yeah, first it was Distance Reiki, and now it's Distance Level 1. So what else do you guys want? Let me know. Slide into my DMs, and who knows, eventually I might just create the thing. All right, so that was a huge aside to my card pull. So getting back to that. Alrighty, so I just shuffled the deck and I pulled card number 8. And I don't think I've ever pulled this card before. It's called Come Together. Love needs to be shared. The full card description. Love needs to be expressed. Drawing the Come Together card is a sign that you're on the path to discover the nature of this emotion in all its forms of expression. Romantic, familiar, unconditional, spiritual. In each instance, there is another being involved. Love involves a give and take between you and a significant other, a relative, a friend, an animal, and/or spirit. This card assures you that love has come calling and seeks a partner in its dance. Know that you are cherished. Like a magnet, you're attracting love into your life. This is the time for harmonious, caring partnerships. Oh, this is such a nice card, and it's kind of about what I was talking about, like how the support I've been receiving from the podcast. This could also be about the support I've been receiving from Spirit. As you guys know, I'm doing a mediumship course right now, which I will do an episode on to let you know about. Or this could mean that my Prince Charming is on his way. Hey, come this way. Anyways, any of those things are great. But what does this card mean for you? I like when you guys let me know that the card resonates with you. So I like this card come together. Card number 8. And as always, the picture of it will be in my Instagram stories on Tuesday. So if you want to see it, just check out my stories. Okay, so enough chatter. Let's jump into today's episode. It's a story that I'm really excited to share because it was a big lesson for me and it was a little push and it ended up being really great. But at the time, I was scared out of my mind. So I want to share that with you so that you can learn something or just enjoy. So you guys know I like receipts. So I'm going to literally read you these emails because this is how I want the story to be told. So I got an email from this woman and the title was Readings with a Heart. This is how the story all begins. She says, "Hi, Stephanie. I have been listening to your podcast now for a few weeks every morning, and I feel so connected to your experiences, and I feel it's helping me greatly. I wanted to ask, my fiance's birthday is on July 6th. He lost his father a couple years ago and still suffers greatly from the loss. We are now expecting our first baby, so being a father is of even more importance now, being that he's lost his own. Do you do distance readings over FaceTime or Zoom? If not, no worries. I was just thinking it would be the best gift in the world to get energy work for him and possibly a reading. I'm in Florida, otherwise I would just come see you. Thank you for the podcast and sharing your experiences." So I got this email and I was like, oh no, like she wants a reading and I don't do a reading and now I have to tell her that I don't do readings and I was nervous, but she was so nice. So I wrote her back and I said, "Thank you for the message. Thank you for listening to the podcast. At this time, I do not offer mediumship readings, but I do offer distance Reiki and Akashic records." And then I wrote, I want to read it so that you guys know. "For something this special, I wouldn't want to just try to get your fiance's father, but I think your idea is wonderful. Congratulations on your baby. That's very exciting. There are some great mediums online you can definitely connect with." And then I recommended a few. I was like sending you all the positive vibes that you were able to connect your fiance with his late father. So I was trying to send her in a different direction because I was really nervous to help her. So that email was kind of like, go maybe find someone else to help you. But she wrote back. She said, "Thank you so much for your response. I just booked a distance Reiki session for him the day before his birthday because I feel strongly that the interaction is supposed to be with you. Maybe the Reiki is exactly what he needs. This will be his first experience with it and it will be a surprise. So I'm excited. Thank you for all that you do to help." And then she wrote sincerely her name. So then I responded, "Okay, sounds like a plan. I will set my intention to hopefully connect with his dad. Have a great weekend." So that was our exchange. And it was super funny because when I received this email originally, in the course, we were talking about how gifted sessions can go sideways because if you're not aware or if you're not wanting a session, it's not always the same vibration. So one person can come and be like, "I had the best time ever." My mom has to come. And then when your mom comes, she doesn't have the best time ever. Like if she didn't want the session. And we were talking about in the course. And then I get this email and I was like, oh my goodness, she wants me to connect with his dad and it's his birthday and he has a baby on the way and it's a surprise. Like, whoa. But I was like, you know what? I can try. She was so nice. And she's just said, you know what? Give it your best shot. And we're happy either way. So I felt really good with it. So the day before all my appointments, I send out an email with the Zoom link saying hello. And she responded back being like, "Hi, like, again, it's not for me. It's for my fiance. So he'll be the one on the Zoom call." And I was like, oh my gosh, that's the appointment that I have tomorrow. Like that came so quickly. So in the email, she wrote back to me that it's going to be her fiance on the call, and she really feels like it would bring healing in more ways than one. So I was like, right, tomorrow is the day. Okay, I'm going to work on pulling his dad. So I was like, I've been doing a lot of practice, and I like really hope that spirit comes through. And again, she was the sweetest thing in the world. She says, "I can't thank you enough. I know nothing is ever guaranteed when it comes to spirit, but I'm really excited for him to experience this. Also, we just found out we're having a baby girl. So happy." So that day before the reading, I actually had my course. So it was a 2.5 hour course during the morning, and then in the afternoon was when I had my sessions booked. So we were in course, and I was really paying attention, and I was writing lots of notes, and it was a mediumship course, and we were just talking about this week's topics and doing lectures, and all of a sudden I start to feel this man, and I think, oh, like, okay, whatever, like pay attention to the course stuff, like stay focused. And I'm like, no, like this is someone's dad. And I was like, oh my gosh, like what if it's the dad for later? Because very often for me, spirit will come early before appointments. So I was like, okay, so he starts telling me things. So I start to write it down on a piece of paper on the side of my notebook that I was doing in the course. But then he starts to tell me a lot of information. So I had to kind of like zone out of the course for a moment to write everything down on this piece of paper. And then I was thinking, okay, like, you know what? At least I can start with this and figure out if it's him. And then if it is, I can keep going. But if it's not, I can still try in person. So I kind of wrote the notes down and left it at that. So when my mediumship course was done for the day, I opened up my schedule. And for some reason, when I looked the first time, they were my last session of the day. And I was like, oh my gosh, like I can't wait all day wondering if this is his dad. Like, what if I'm wrong? What if it's not him? What if it is him and he's happy? Like, I can't believe they're my last session of the day. Like, I want to email them and be like, hey, can we do it earlier? Like, I literally can't wait. But I had sessions booked all day, so I really couldn't book her earlier. So I do my first session and it was great. And then I go to check to see who my second session was. And it ended up being her. So I must have looked wrong the first time. So then I was so excited because it was now 10 minutes before the appointment. And I was like, oh my God, like they're next. I have this information here. I wonder if it's going to be true. Like, I hope it's him. So the appointment starts and he comes on. And I said, hi, like I'm Steph. Do you know what you're here for? And he was like, yeah. He was like, she explained to me. And I was like, okay, like, do you know what Reiki is? He was like, yeah, like she explained it to me. And then I was like, okay, do you also know that she was hoping that I would connect with your dad? And he was like, yeah, but no pressure. Like literally the sweetest thing ever. So I was like, okay, well, actually, when I was in my course, I got some information and I wrote it down. Like, can I read it to you? And he was like, okay. So I said, okay. So to start, I got like a J name. And he was like, yes. And I was like, okay, I wrote down John or James. And he was like, yeah, his name was James. And I was like, okay. And then I just had this big sigh of relief because I got the name. So I was like, okay, I feel like this is him if I got the name. So I was like, okay, so I'm going to keep reading you what I wrote down. I was like, I feel like he has no hair on the top of his head, but he's like really proud of the hair on the side of his head. And he like laughed and he's like, yeah, that could be at the end of before he passed. You know, he was starting to lose his hair. And then I was like, okay, and he is holding your baby. Like, he wants you to know that he has her before you do. Like, he's holding her, being like, I know her. Like, I know your baby, like, personally. So just know that by the time you get her, like, I've already met her. And now he's crying. And then I started crying. And I was like, oh, gosh. I'm like, I try not to cry when I do this. But it was just really, like, emotional. So then I said, okay, he's telling me some more information. He's telling me that he's, like, not a soft person. Like, he's not the cuddly wuddly type. Like, he's gonna give it to you how it is. And like, if he says a rule, like, that's the rule. And he kind of laughs and he's like, yep, that's him. And I was like, okay. And then he's showing me like his smile, but his teeth are spaced out. So it's like tooth and then space and then tooth and then space. And then he's laughing and he's like, yeah, like my mom used to call him chiclet teeth because he had his teeth like that. And I was like, oh, like, okay. Like, I didn't want to say that at first, but I'm glad that makes sense for you. So I was like, so now he's showing me like kind of how he passes. And I was like, I have a headache. I'm really nauseous. I'm vomiting a lot. And like my jaw and my throat are like on fire. Like, I don't know why he's really showing me like vomiting. I was like, does that make sense? And he was like, yeah, like near the end, that's definitely true. He's like, one of the last things that he asked for actually was like a glass of milk just to soothe his throat because his throat was really hurting. And I literally wrote down throat underlined. And I said, you kind of want to be like a more sensitive dad than he was. Like, you kind of want to be that woo-woo loving daddy kind of thing. Like, come here, let me give you a hug and kiss your boo-boo. And he was like, yeah. And I was like, don't worry. Like, he's kind of telling me, like, you'll be that kind of dad. And he's kind of being like, because I raised you right. Like, because I did that kind of thing. Like, he's kind of being like, you're going to be a great dad. Like, don't worry. He's crying and I'm still crying. And then he also said, I wrote heavily that support while you're a father. But what I meant was that he would still heavily be supporting him while he's a father, like from heaven looking down. He's like, don't worry, like I'll always be here when you need me, but like I know you're going to be a great dad. And it was just like this really beautiful message, and everything that I wrote down on the sheet was correct. So I was kind of blown away because I was like, this woman that doesn't even know me just had so much faith in my story because she's listened to the podcast. I don't even know if she's gone this far. And she sent me this email knowing that this is what her fiance needed. And then I was able to connect with the dad and we had this beautiful experience. And that whole conversation only took about 10 minutes. So he still got like lots of Reiki time. And it was funny because I was like, okay, like that's all I have written down here. So do you want to ask him a question? And then he asked his dad a few questions and it was really nice. And I was like, wow, like practicing really does work. So then afterwards, I was like, okay, let's start the Reiki portion. So let me scan your body. So before any Reiki session, I scan the body from head to toes. I just need like one queen, like a sweep of your body. So he's showing me, and I didn't know this, but the fiance was still in the room because I said, oh, like, did you hurt your right knee? Like, what's going on there? And he was like, oh, no. And then you hear her in the back room. She's like, yeah, you did. You came home on Wednesday because you hurt your knee. He was like, oh, yeah, I did fall at work a few days ago because I hurt my right knee. And I was like, oh, okay, like, let's get going on the Reiki then. So then we had this like really great experience and they were just two of the sweetest people. And I was like, thank you so much for believing in me and thank you for pushing me out of my comfort zone. I literally just wanted to say no and send you to someone else, but you like forced me to real life practice. Because in my course, we're practicing, but we're practicing all with each other, and it's different when you don't need a message versus when you do need a message. So it's a lot easier to connect with spirit when there's something that they have to say. But now when someone's connected with my grandpa, you know, for the 4th, 5th time, he might not have anything to say, so it's a little harder for them to connect. So this was like really cool and really reassuring for me. So then after the session, I thought it would be nice if I like took a picture of the piece of paper and sent it to them because I was like, this might be kind of like a little message from dad, or they might just want to see what I wrote down like beforehand. And then she wrote back to me, thank you so much, Steph. He loved the Reiki and having you being able to tune into his dad really lifted a weight from him. She said, you can definitely be seeing more of us. Just the nicest people ever. Just so sweet. And this definitely isn't an invitation to be like, I'm sure you guys are all very nice people to email me and beg me for a reading and that it'll help in. I'm working on it. I want to offer mediumship. I promise. I just want to be good at it. I want to practice. I'm in the developing phase still. We all know I'm a little baby medium and I'm growing. So please don't email me asking for a reading because this was like a special one-off. I just wanted to share this story because it really gave me a lot of confidence. It really gave me a lot of courage. I felt so supported. And it was like a real life practice example coming out of the course where I've been practicing every week with people. It was like really cool to see the difference when the energy is kind of different. Like when the message is really needed and someone's like, you know, I really want to connect with this person. So I had a really great time. I was on cloud 9 for the rest of the day. I was like, wow, like that was awesome. That was so cool. And I just had to share the story with you because it was just so nice and so special. And when you work at something, it gets better. I even wrote that back in my email and I was like, like I guess practice does help. Like hee. So that's this week's story about a little message from Dad. So thank you for listening. If you've made it this far, I appreciate it. Again, if you are an iTunes user, I would love a rating and a review. If you want to find me on Instagram, Facebook, Medium in the Middle. If you want to book an appointment with me, themediuminthemiddle.com. I release new podcast episodes every Tuesday, and I will see you all next Tuesday. Bye, everyone.